On PowerPoint, simplicity of design. One idea per slide, very few colors, I've got one font, and images, not text. Okay, you're saying, well, Steve, you've got a lot of text. True. There are always going to be little exceptions to the rule, but these are general rules. Now that we're talking about images, images are impactful. There's an old expression, images say 1,000 words. Have you guys heard that? Or in Bulgarian, maybe snimki is like a hiladi dumi or something. All right, let's talk about another story on images and story. Now, let's imagine, everybody, please put your little imagination caps on. Okay, you're imagining? Let's imagine I work for UNICEF, a little charity. You guys are rich donors sitting here wanting to give money. Now, of course, you're at these little balls and you know you're going to give money anyway, but it's a matter of how much money you're going to give because you're rich and you want to be social and feel like you're philanthropic and give something back to the community. All right, I could sit here and go, in 2005, almost 1.4 billion people lived below the international poverty line, making less than 2 levs a day. Among this group of poor people, many have problems obtaining adequate, nutritious food for themselves and their families. As a result, guys, 947 million people in the world are undernourished. Blah, 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 okay? And this is what people do. They read all these stupid long bullet points, don't they? Now, how impactful is that? I don't think so. It's very impactful. Okay, maybe I'll get donations anyway because you're there, you're here, right? You're here to donate, you're here to eat the food and donate, but are you going to walk out of there remembering it's 1.4 billion people? Remembering 947 million people are undernourished? No. You're going to remember something about 4 people. Okay, what if, oh yeah, and you're going to fall asleep, probably. What if I said something else? I was like, hey guys, I know you want to get to your food and the beverages, but we have a really important message here at UNICEF, and it's about children, one of our biggest things. We have the emergency fund for children. And it's about healthy, happy living children. Images, right? 15 million. That's the number of children, just children. I'm not talking about adults, I'm not talking about teenagers. This is the number of children estimated in 2009 that die every single year of malnutrition. They're starving to death and they die. 15 million. Let's break that down to make it more manageable, okay? That's 41,096 children, Detsky, per day. And these are real numbers. What is that per hour? 1,712 while we're sitting here. Half of those have already died. This is now a famous photograph snapped by one of our photographers at a Sudanese aid camp. There was the kid trying to get to the aid camp for food, and he just couldn't make it, right? Everybody's probably seen this photograph by now. The photographer snapped this, and you can see the vulture in the back just waiting to eat him. Okay, this kid lived, because obviously people went and saved him. But you know what? Those 1,700 kids aren't living. They're dying, and their parents don't even have enough money to give them a funeral. While we sit here, guys, going back to in 1 hour, 1,712 children are died. That's a shitload, guys. We have the emergency relief program. It's for kids, to feed kids. €5 can feed 20 kids. So what we need is you guys to give us €5. We need to save 20 kids. We need €5 from each of you because this doesn't have to happen. With your help, this doesn't have to happen, and we can have this for every 15 million kids. It's not that big a step. Okay, that's a story. It uses images. Are you more likely to remember it? Yay, I got €5. But you know what I mean? Okay, these are all real numbers. I don't work for UNICEF or anything like that, but I'm just using that as an example to you that you can be much more impactful. You've got a goal to save children. I said at the beginning, I want a return on investment. I want your €5. I'm using a story. I talked about the Sudanese camp guy and how they don't have enough money to pay for funerals and stuff like that. And I asked for €5. That's my return on investment. You're much more likely to remember this and to act on this if I use stories and images. I think, maybe not, but it's impact to me. Finally, they're rehearsed. Don't have to say much about this. Rehearsal is good, practice, 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 right? If you don't practice, you can't grow up to be the nice football player. Everything takes practice. If you're nervous about giving presentations, practice on your mates and friends. When you rewrite, you're sort of practicing. You're going over it, over it. Okay, now, yes, doing well. I didn't put this in the little rules, but it should be kind of obvious. It should be relevant, your presentation. If you're on a job interview, you should be talking about how good you are and, more importantly, how you're going to do good for the company and the team and help that company make money. You guys are what? A bunch of designers, copy people, ad people, marketers. Obviously, my story about UNICEF isn't so relevant to you because, yeah, whatever, you're not rich donors potentially, and you're not really interested in world hunger. What you are interested in is design, copy, ad, marketing, maybe project management on how to do these things, the tools, whatever the speakers were, online, above the line, below the line, indirect social marketing, whatever. Okay, so what you want to do is come up with good ideas to pitch your new client or your new boss, yeah? Most of you? I think. Okay, one guy does. The rest of you, I don't know why you're here, but okay. Now, using our little UNICEF example, let's say that's the new customer or prospect. We got to pitch on them, right? Ogilvy's going to pitch, Saatchi & Saatchi's going to pitch, some publicist companies are going to pitch, our little startup is going to pitch, and we have to pitch against these big giants, all right? Thinking about it? New scenario. Thinking caps. All right. Are we going to say we're number one? Like Ogilvy might say, or Saatchi. No offense to you guys, I'm just teasing you a little bit. I think there's some people here from there. Are we going to say we're number one? No. Are we going to say we're the most creative? We can put cars on buildings. No. We're not going to say we're number one. We're not going to say we're most creative, because you know what? Who cares if you're number one? I certainly don't care if I'm the prospect. What does that mean? You've got so many clients that you don't care about me? What, that your revenues went up 25% year over year, which means you're just stealing more of my money? I don't care if you're number one. That means you're going to treat me worse. I don't care about your creativity. I care, or I shouldn't anyway, I care about return on investment. I'm spending money on an advertising campaign. I want money back, right? This is why we spend on advertising, to get more users, more eyeballs, more money, more sales, more whatever, but we don't spend it on it just to throw money in the toilet. Okay, so what would I say? There's Steve thinking about it. My goal is gonna be to get more sales. I wanna make this sale. I wanna sell UNICEF. My goal is to sell UNICEF. That's the goal of my presentation to UNICEF. UNICEF's goal is to make money, to get donations, okay? So I know my goal and their goal, so I'm gonna tailor my presentation to meet both goals. UNICEF wants to have more donations after they spend money on my ad campaign and my creative and my copy than they have before. They need to be better off after using me and my firm than before using me, right? So I'm going to go to UNICEF and say, hey, UNICEF, I really understand your business, and I'm going to prove it to you. And even better, I understand that, yeah, creativity is cool. I'm creative. But I also realize, Mr. UNICEF man, that if you spend every euro on my campaign and get less than that back, you sort of wasted your money. If you spent 500,000 levs on this campaign and you only get 300,000 in donations, well, gee, you've just lost 200,000. Great, good business. No, I get that. I know you want to make money. Okay, so Ogilvy, if it doesn't sell, it isn't creative. Classic ad man. This guy was brilliant. He's a genius. I loved Ogilvy. If it doesn't sell, it's not creative. Maybe you don't believe me, but hopefully you might believe somebody with more reputation than me. Okay, I'm going to tell a story about a previous client to UNICEF. I'm going to say, hey, our campaign is going to use some best practices in UNICEF. We're going to illustrate a benefit because we know that ads with benefits sell 2 to 3 times more than ads without benefits. We're going to not use riddles or platitudes, which are meaningless phrases like "we do it better," because we know those sell less. We're going to do something that's easy to understand. We're going to try to illustrate your problem, UNICEF. And we're going to tell people who are looking at your ad what to do, because we know that when you tell people what to do, you create more action and you get more sales. All of these are tried and true principles of advertising that unfortunately most advertisers overlook, and they just put cars on buildings because it's creative, and say things like sometimes there's dirt roads and sometimes there's cows, whatever that means, riddles. Okay, so here's what we did for the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation, Mr. UNICEF man. We did a series of outdoor ads where we tried to illustrate, first creatively, yes, what multiple sclerosis really does. It disconnects the nerves. It causes impotence and incontinence. It makes it so you can't feel things. All right, we put a headline to scare people maybe a little bit. Multiple sclerosis causes impotence and paralysis, because it does. And it can happen to absolutely anyone. There's nothing you can or can't do. You can't stop smoking, you can't stop drinking, and not get multiple sclerosis. We're going to put a caption underneath, is what we did. And it said, "We're working on a cure, but we need your help. Please donate." We're telling them what to do. Please donate. We need your help. It's simple, it's short, it's less than 40 words. We're following best practices. It's clear. We're saying, hey, don't get MS. Help us fight it. Help us find a cure. Then we tested it, because things should always be tested, because it's your 500,000. Why on earth would we just put this nationwide if we don't know if it's going to work? So we just tried it in Sofia. And why did we do that? To see if we're going to get donations from this campaign. How else did we test it? We put a special account number on the signs for the donations right there in the top right corner that are only used for this campaign. We open a new account, it's empty, we put it here, so we know if we get any donations to this account number, the campaign worked. All right, so we tried it in Sofia, and we tested it with an account. Why? Because we want to know if we're going to make money. Okay, what happened, UNICEF man? Well, just in Sofia, our donations increased 25%, or 250,000 euro over the run of the ad. Pretty successful. And we can prove that because we only ran in Sofia and we had a special account number that only related to that ad. We just made them 250,000 euro in donations. And of course, they went nationwide. And after they went nationwide, they got 2.2 million euros from our campaign. That's a huge return on investment. This is what we did for multiple sclerosis, and this is what we can do for you, UNICEF, because we're smart and we're creative. And we understand you need return on your investment, or you should just take that money and throw it away. It's pointless. That, to me, means a happy customer. I'm going to get the sale, and it creates more impact. It's creating action. It's creating results. You guys get that? Use pictures, use stories. That's my presentation. In summary, because I always said close it. Remember one little rule, structure, open, say, close? Have a goal. Know your goal. Keep it in mind. State your goal. Know your customer's goal. Do it with meaning. If you don't care about it, don't do it, for God's sakes. Why are you doing it anyway if you don't care about it? Have structure. Open it. Tell stories. Give examples. Close it. Keep it simple. We're not going to try to explain the world here. We're not doing a short history of time. Rehearse and practice, and remember at the end of the day, it's you that is up there talking to the job prospect or the competition panel or the prospect, the big company. It's you, it's your reputation, you're representing that company. This is how people are going to think about you. And with that, I'm done. Merci, Manogo.